Policies, procedures, guidelines, and standards. They sound similar, but in cybersecurity, they each serve a different purpose. If you've ever been confused about what separates them or why they matter, you're not alone. In this video, we'll break down each one, explain how they work together, and walk through real-world examples to help make sense of it all. Let's get into it. Let's start by defining the four terms we're focusing on: policies, procedures, guidelines, and standards. A policy is a high-level rule or statement of intent. It sets the direction for how an organization approaches a specific issue, like acceptable use of devices, password creation, or data privacy. Think of a policy as the what and why. For example, a company might have a security policy that states all employees must protect sensitive data from unauthorized use. A procedure breaks that policy down into step-by-step actions. It's the how, a detailed set of instructions someone would follow to comply with a policy. For instance, if the policy is about protecting data, the procedure might explain how to encrypt files, label documents, or use secure file transfer tools. Guidelines are recommendations, not strict requirements. They offer flexibility and best practices to help people make good decisions when exact steps aren't defined. Think of them as advice, not rules. A guideline might suggest strong password practices, even if the policy doesn't strictly enforce them. Finally, we have standards. Standards provide consistent rules or baselines for how things should be done. They can come from external frameworks like NIST or ISO, or be developed internally to ensure consistency across systems, teams, or processes. For example, a standard might require passwords to be at least 16 characters long, or mandate encryption using AES 256 for sensitive data. Each of these play a different role, but they all work together to shape how an organization approaches cybersecurity. Now that we know what policies, procedures, guidelines, and standards are, let's look at how they actually apply to cybersecurity and why they matter. In cybersecurity, it's not just about having the right tools. It's about having a clear framework for how people, systems, and data should be protected. That's where these elements come in. Policies set the expectations. They create a shared understanding across the organization about what's important, like protecting sensitive data, maintaining strong passwords, or limiting access based on roles. Procedures make these expectations actionable. They translate a high-level goal like protect data into real, repeatable steps that people can follow. Without procedures, policies often sit on a shelf and don't actually change behavior. Guidelines help fill in the gaps. Not every situation can be predicted or covered in a step-by-step procedure. Guidelines help give teams the flexibility to apply best practices, especially in gray areas like secure software development or remote work. Standards promote consistency. They define specific requirements or baselines for how things should be done, like password complexity, rules, system hardening benchmarks, or encryption methods. Whether they come from external frameworks like NIST or are developed in-house, standards help ensure that everyone's following the same playbook. Together, these elements help reduce risk, improve consistency, and align cybersecurity practices with business goals and compliance requirements. They provide structure, and structure is what keeps things from falling apart when threats appear. Let's look at some examples of how these show up in the real world. We'll start with policies and procedures. Imagine a company has a policy that says employees must use strong passwords and update them every 90 days. That's a high-level expectation. The procedure that supports it might include instructions for how to create a strong password, how to update it in the company's system, and what to do if the password's forgotten or compromised. Without the procedure, the policy sounds good, but it might be hard for the employees to follow through without instructions. Next, let's look at guidelines. Let's say an organization supports remote work. There might not be a rigid procedure for every scenario, but a guideline could recommend using things like virtual private networks or VPNs, locking screens when walking away from your desk, or avoiding public Wi-Fi without protection. Now, these aren't enforced step by step, but they help employees make better security choices when policies and procedures don't cover every situation. Finally, we have standards. Imagine an organization adopts a company-wide standard that requires all passwords to be at least 16 characters long and stored using AES 256 encryption. This standard provides a consistent rule across departments and systems, making it easier to maintain strong security practices. Whether it's developed internally or adopted from frameworks like NIST, the goal is the same: ensure consistency and reduce risk. As you can see, policies, procedures, guidelines, and standards each serve a different role, but they all work together to build a strong, accountable security culture. Let's recap. Policies, procedures, guidelines, and standards all play a role in shaping how organizations approach cybersecurity. Policies set the expectations, procedures explain how to carry them out, guidelines offer flexibility and best practices, but they're optional, and standards allow for consistent rules across departments and systems, helping to maintain strong security practices. Each one helps define how people should behave, how systems should be managed, and how data should be protected. Together, they provide structure, consistency, and accountability. all of which are essential in building a strong security culture. If you enjoyed this video, check out one of the other videos on screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.